Thank you for joining us for our third part in our series about how to protect your business from cyber criminals. Today we're going to be talking about the two-factor. We'll let that sink in. It's probably a pretty bad one. Just the X factor. Never mind, I won't get into it. Two-factor authentication, right? We just got done talking about phishing and how a lot of cyber criminals are attacking and getting access to your system through your employees. Well, two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication is a system that you can put in place very easily to protect yourself and your business from those employees giving out sensitive information or credentials. A lot of times with those phishing emails, people are phishing for information. They may send an employee to an illegitimate link to try to get their username and password for some system, whether that's their email. Usually that's number one, what most phishing attacks are going after is somebody's email, username, and password. Because once they have access to that person's email, they can send out invoices, they can send out hate mail, they can do anything they want, right? But they may be trying to get credentials to your server, to your network, to other things. So what they'll do is they'll send that phishing email to make your employee think that it's someone from HR asking for their credentials, or the IT department, or anywhere inside the organization or outside the organization. Get them to go to a website, type them in. And if you think it's hard to fall for this, I can tell you it's not. People get stressed, they get busy, they see an email, it tells them to do something, and they do it. So going back to two-factor authentication is a way that you can prevent and protect yourself from this. So the two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication basically puts a second layer between you and your account. So normally, most systems would have a username, right, and a password. So those would be the two things that you would need to authenticate that you are you. Well, what's the problem with that? This is normally public. It's usually someone's email address, right? The password, as we just mentioned, could easily be phished or guessed or cracked. There was a study done by Intel a couple years ago that found that any password less than 10 characters could be cracked in no time by a computer, just randomly checking different combinations. So if username and password isn't secure anymore, right? What do we do? Well, that's what two-factor authentication is. It puts this other layer of authentication in there to protect your accounts. And in fact, if you have a bank account, chances are you're already using two-factor. Basically what it does, when you put in your username and password, it sends a code, is one of the options, to your phone, right? So it could send a cell phone code. And you would have to authenticate. Once you log in with username and password, you'd have to then put that code that was sent to your cell phone. That basically verifies that you are you. Now the great part, I should say this first, the downside about this is it's annoying, right? Trust me, security's annoying. Putting an alarm system on your office is annoying. You have to undo it every single time. You have to pay for it, right? So you gotta weigh the cost-benefit analysis like you do anything in business. Yeah, this is annoying, but if this gets leaked, right, they still don't have access to your systems. Especially financial, you should always have two-step. Email accounts, you should have two-step. Anything crucial to your business, you should have two-step. Here at our business, we have two-step turn-on for everything because we deal with our clients and we want to keep their information, our information secure. So with the cell phone code, you can also then tell it to remember this computer, usually for like 30 days. So that way, every time you log in on that computer, you don't have to get that code. Another thing you can use is an app, right? There's a great one out there, Google Authenticator app, or Authy is another one. Basically what it does, it gives you a code, and that code changes every 30 seconds. So when you put in your username and password, you just go open that app and put in the code from that app, and it authenticates that you're you. So these are great options to protect your main username and password. Because this stuff, unfortunately nowadays, is so easy to crack. Now having a combination of these things is really what you want to do. I have mine set up to go through a multitude of different paths. Just so that way I don't have just a username and password. I have a username, password, second authentication, third authentication, depending on how sensitive the account is. So my recommendation, if you're using something like G Suite or Office 365, your bank accounts, any online service, my recommendation is that you go or assign someone in your company to go and see if there's two-factor authentication. I'll tell you right now, if you're using Office 365 or G Suite, there is two-factor authentication, and I highly recommend you turn that on after watching this video. But then go to all your online systems and verify there's two-factor authentication. And then require your employees to set it up. In Office 365 and G Suite, there is a way that you can set up so that all employees have to do two-factor authentication. It's very easy. If you'd like to reach out, we can help you set that up. But hopefully this gives you some more information about two-factor authentication, why it's important, what it is, and what it does. We're going to talk a little bit later in another session about dark web and about these usernames and passwords, and you'll kind of see why two-factor authentication becomes even more important. Of course, not every security system is foolproof. Two-factor authentication is now having some hacks and different ways that people can get around it. But if all you have right now is usernames and passwords, two-factor authentication is a mandatory must to set up in today's landscape. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions whatsoever, of course, my phone number and email address are down below. Feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to talk with you more about this. And I hope you join in for the next video. We got some more topics to talk about. Thank you.